Usually I do make fun of people on TikTok, but not today. I'm actually going to listen to what this lady has to say, and then I will try to give her the best advice that I can because I too have lived poor, and most people in Romania, compared to people from Canada or the United States, had to live through poverty. So not only do I have my own experience, but I know how my friends dealt with it as well.
I want to know how the hell people in Canada are even living. I generally consider myself a positive person. I'm like resourceful, but some stuff happened around the property and well, I know I'll never truly be homeless. Like I have family to live with and I have options.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that traumatizes me and many other people, the idea of being homeless. This is why family is important, because if you ever end up in the situation where you are homeless and you need a place to stay until you get your stuff together, family is there. Like, it's an option. A lot of people don't have it. So this is why I hate TikTok videos, and I guess like modern, especially progressive people who are disparaging towards the family, who do not like their parents. They do not like the uncle because, according to them, is racist. Even though they use like the most broad definition of the term possibly imaginable. You know, like maybe he doesn't like Ariel from Walt Disney, so they cut off all communication. Well, you better hope that times don't get worse than you need that uncle.
I'm luckier than a lot of other people, but how the hell is anyone existing in Canada? I feel trapped and I just got a good job. I started in September, but even with that job, it pays less than 40 grand a year, and it's a job that requires like education, and even on that job.
What's interesting is that this is not what Trudeau talks about in his speeches, if you listen to them. He will talk about LGBT issues. He will talk about the environment. He will probably talk about anything but this, right? Like, the cost of living is something that's rarely addressed. And it's rarely addressed because I don't think they have solutions. I think that they're just trying to exacerbate the problem more and more by creating inflation. And probably by taxing people more.
Like, I still can't do shit. I can't buy anything. I can't afford the rent these days. I'm just feeling so much despair, and I know I'm normally really really positive, but I'm just like, how is everyone else, and are you okay? Because the answer's probably no. And I know I'm lucky. I don't have kids. I have.
See, you're lucky now because you don't have kids. But what about when you're old? Because right now you can still work. What happens if, God forbid, you end up in a car crash or you have a stroke and then you can't work? Like, who's going to take care of you? Like, you have your family now, but once you reach a certain age, almost all of your family members either pass away or they get married and they have different obligations. You shouldn't say you're lucky you don't have kids. That's my point. Like, you should say, you don't have kids right now. That's fine, or you don't plan to do them. But like, there's going to be consequences down the line. Now, the reason I made this video is to give her some advice, and my advice is get married. Like, that's literally the way out of poverty. And I'll tell you this: like, in Romania, we had very low wages. We lived exactly like you described. People wouldn't be able to buy anything. They would just be able to pay for the rent, pay for the utilities, and then maybe they would have like a couple of money left in order to buy the groceries. So what people did was that they would get married. And now you have two incomes in the household. And with two incomes in the household, it gets a lot easier. Obviously, there's different types of advice that can help you save money. Like, I don't know if this lady has a car. If you have a car, like, unfortunately, public transport is a lot better. I think like there's another video where she talks about how she can only drive the car to work like 3 days, or that was another lady also from Canada. But yeah, if you're like at this level of poor, you have to lower your living standards. There's no other way. I mean, yeah, people will say we live paycheck to paycheck, which is an expression that I really hate because I know what it's supposed to mean. but it depends on the type of lifestyle that you have. Because, for example, if you warm your house to 25 degrees in the winter and you live in a 3-room apartment and you have a car, well, yeah, like you can live paycheck to paycheck with that lifestyle, but you're living the type of lifestyle that you shouldn't be living with based on how much you're making and the cost of living. So lowering your lifestyle is something you need to do. All Romanians did it, right? Like it was during the housing bubble when a lot of people got fired. The government decided to cut a lot from the budget, so it was hard. And that's the way out. It's marriage is the most important thing that can save you from poverty. It's not just because there's two incomes in the household, as I mentioned, but you also have his relationships now, his connections. He can help you find a better job. He can help you get promoted by using his network. Usually, like, nepotism is the way when things get this bad. If it's not already in Canada, it's going to become. But yeah, I mean, what's interesting is that the standard of living is lowering significantly year after year, and the politicians, instead of addressing this issue, they're going to be talking about LGBT issues. They're going to be talking about literally anything else. It was actually funny. Like, I saw Justin Trudeau a couple of weeks ago. I think he was being asked about the homeless issue or some economic thing, and he's like, "Well, this is not the government's responsibility to fix it." And he was right. Like, it wasn't the government's responsibility to fix it. But why is then the government's responsibility to talk about the LGBT community or something like that? You know, like, that should also be done by the private sector and the activist groups, not the government. So you kind of see the duality. And I think it's obvious, right? It's like, because when you talk to people about different problems, then you can come up with solutions for those problems that you discussed. But when there's real problems, like people don't have food to put on the table, and this affects the LGBT community as well, well, you don't have solutions for that, especially when you're trying to make it worse by printing money, by using the environmental policies, which lower the cost of living even more. In fact, I do think that it's by design. If you listen to some of these politicians, they flat out say that they don't want people to have cars. Like, cars should be something expensive so that people use less carbon, right? So by increasing the cost of living, then people are going to use less air conditioning, they're going to drive less, they're going to have less money to do things. It is what it is, you know? I don't have a solution on how to change that, but I do have solutions for people how to adapt and try to work within the system that is being created for us. Marriage is the most important one. Like, I don't think anyone can argue. Like, you need two incomes. Don't marry for love, marry for wealth. What can I say? A lot of great books were written based on this theme, you know? There's a reason for that. People in the past were poor. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.